A lot of places that we think of as natural aren't actually untouched wilderness. They're often places that were heavily used or altered or even damaged by people. And then they're left alone long enough, slowly, that nature grows back and it grows over the top of whatever the alteration was. And forests are a good example. Much of the Northeast United States was completely logged by the late 1800s. A very concrete example of that is the White Mountains. By the turn of the 20th century, huge portions of region had been clear-cut for timber and fuel and paper production. There were entire mountainsides that were stripped bare, and the forests that people associate with New Hampshire today simply just didn't exist yet. Old growth forests were cut down for lumber, fuel, farming, and just industry in general. And the trees that you see today in many state parks and hiking areas aren't ancient. They're second or even third generation growth, and they feel timeless, but they're actually just recovering. I always tell people that I tell kind of everybody that if you want to see what most of New Hampshire looked like back in the 1800s or 1700s, go to Hollis, New Hampshire. The same thing shows up in places like quarries and rail beds and canals and mill sites, and what looks like these sort of quiet trails or scenic overlook might have once been somebody's work site, or it could have been like a transportation corridor or part of just this overall giant industrial system. And how many times have you been walking through the woods in New Hampshire specifically and seen one of those iconic rock walls or stone walls? That is a dead giveaway that area was once cleared for farming or grazing. And you can actually tell by the type of rock they use, but once enough time passes, we sort of stop seeing these places as modified landscapes, and we start seeing them as this pure, untouched place. And they become places that we kind of escape to, or escape to get away from human impact, but the human impact is the reason that they look the way that they do. And I don't think that makes them any less meaningful. If anything, it makes them more honest, I guess. They're not like snapshots of this world before people. They're evidence of what happens after people leave, which is regrowth. And if you want to see a true virgin forest, you don't actually have to go very far in our little area of New Hampshire. If you're local here to Milford, you can visit Sheldrick Forest Nature Preserve, which is just right over here in Wilton. I don't think it could be considered completely untouched. There are trails running through it, but it's never been logged or farmed, at least not commercially. It was passed down through several generations, and it actually has a pretty good underdog story of narrowly dodging development in the 1990s, which is one of the reasons it's preserved today. And you can find trees there that are more than 200 years old, which is much rarer than most people might realize, especially when you consider that roughly 84% of New Hampshire is forested today. But almost all of that forest is relatively young. So when I look at these places now, I don't see untouched nature. I see a landscape that has already lived a completely different life before becoming what they are now. Something to think about.